Good morning. It's Tuesday, August 29th, 2023. This is your Georgia WeatherNet Hurricane Idalia update. A big storm, a Category 1 hurricane, so the wind speed just inside Category 1 hurricane strength. But just look at the sheer size of this storm, already pushing in a rain band around Naples and Fort Myers. The wind is starting to pick up along the Florida Gulf Coast, and the storm, the southern end of the storm, still just east of the Yucatan Peninsula of Mexico. So this is a big storm. It's out over the warm, open water, so it's going to continue to strengthen. And the models seem to indicate a Category 2 could be a Category 3 hurricane, which would be a major hurricane before it's all said and done, and making landfall somewhere in around Cross City, Florida, it looks like. Just possibly to the southeast of the Big Bend. Now, this particular track here is kind of favoring the European ensemble, which has been keeping the storm moving in more to the south and east of the American models. I'm going to show you some of those models in just a second, but this is the official forecast line. Now, keep in mind the cone of uncertainty is where the storm could end up happening. So right now it shows that center going right over Savannah. That center could go over Vidalia if it tracks a little more toward the north and west. Could be down closer to Brunswick and the Florida line if it tracks toward the south and the east. So we'll take a look at what all of this means. Let's take a look at some of our watches and warnings as well as our threat. First of all, I've kind of extended the highest threat area up to the northwest just a little bit more because we still see some of these models that are very steadfast about tracking up more toward the northwest. So we're going to watch out for the wind threat, heavy rainfall all the way into Statesboro, Vidalia, Douglas, Valdosta will be in the highest threat area no matter what, and then a moderate threat covering Albany up to Augusta. So we're going to be looking at some strong winds there. Wind gusts could exceed 45 miles per hour very easily there in the moderate threat area, and still some wind up in the Macon. A heavy rain is going to be all across the state of Georgia. Some of those bands are going to push all the way up to the North Georgia mountains, producing some very, very heavy rainfall. So here are our watches and warnings. We have a flood watch in the green that covers Albany, and then up into parts of Wheeler and Montgomery County. We have a tropical storm watch. That's the pink area covering Statesboro, Savannah, and then up into South Carolina. It's going to be a big situation there as far as some coastal flooding is concerned. Tropical storm warning, that's your reddish color, and that's going to cover most of South Georgia. And some of those counties have been added as of this morning to the tropical storm warning, and a hurricane warning is in effect for the Valdosta area. Eccles County was added to that this morning as well. So they're taking that very seriously there in South Georgia by going ahead and going with the hurricane warning. Let's take a look at the modeling. This is our high-res, our high-resolution rapid refresh, called the HUR model. I like to use this just to see what's going to happen in the course of the day, but we're going to see that this particular model is tracking the storm pretty far toward the north and west, so we'll get to that. First of all, let's go through the day today. Showers, thunderstorms around the Savannah area, coastal Georgia, some showers up in North Georgia as well, and then we'll see some organized thunderstorms continue to move up today. This really is moving in the general direction that the hurricane will be moving, but this is not part of the hurricane. This is not an outer band or anything of that nature, just some convection out ahead of the main system pushing across South Georgia from Columbus through Macon and then over into Savannah. So again, some of these cells could be strong to severe. We'll see some more lines moving in. Here comes another set of thunderstorms around 10 o'clock tonight, moving up through Valdosta, moving into middle Georgia. Again, moving south to north, but not really associated directly with Idalia. And then through the overnight hours, this is 2 a.m., 3 a.m., still looking at thunderstorms spread throughout the state. Tomorrow morning, we start to see that significant, consistent rain crossing the state line. So this is 6 a.m. We'll go to 7 and 8 o'clock. Should have landfall of the hurricane by then. Could be Category 2, could be 3. Probably going to, if it does make it to 3, it'll probably back down to 2 just before landfall. We'll see what actually happens, but that is most likely going to be the case tomorrow morning at around 8 a.m. But we're going to see those bands of heavy rain start to move into southwest Georgia, and you can see some heavy rain thunderstorms up ahead of that over I-16 between Macon and Savannah. 9, 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. Those the bands of rain continue to push in. We're going to be seeing those gusty winds, could be 60-mile-an-hour plus around Valdosta. And look at where the center of this storm is. Again, this particular model says the center is going to be out around Thomasville to Cairo, southwest Georgia. So this is pretty far west compared to what the European model is saying. And if this is the case, we're just going to have a greater threat of spin-up tornadoes, the heavy rain and gusty winds for more of southeast Georgia. The good side of the storm is going to be up toward Columbus and Atlanta, still going to be picking up some heavy rain, but our severe weather risk is going to be significantly lower there on the northwest side of the storm compared to southeast of the storm. So now we're at 3 p.m. We see the storm starting to track up near Albany. By 4 p.m., right over Tifton. This particular model also showing a little bit slower progression as it moves through the state of Georgia. So we're going to be dealing with this through the day tomorrow into tomorrow evening. This is 7 p.m. We head toward 8, 9 o'clock tomorrow night. Going to be moving down toward Telfair and Dodge County around Eastman. And then by 10 p.m., showing the center of the storm, getting close to Statesboro, showing the center just above Metter, just south of Statesboro by 11 o'clock tomorrow night. And then at midnight, still in Georgia, and finally starting to move out through the overnight hours. This is going to be 2 a.m. on Thursday morning. So, again, this model is not necessarily going to be the case. It is one solution that the computer is spitting out that could occur. And if that happens, let me just show you the wind gusts. We'll just roll through this really, really quickly, and I'll show you where our peak gusts are going to be after this loads up. So let's get through today. We'll head into tomorrow, and here comes the wind. You can see that center of the storm very clearly there with the calm wind between Valdosta and Albany at 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. But if this works out, 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts possible in Albany and pretty close to that in Valdosta as well, and then continuing to push up into southeast Georgia late tomorrow night with those wind gusts in excess of 45 miles per hour. Now let's take a look at the European high-res. Not going to be able to get all the hours here on this, but in between the hours that the model spits out. It's not that high resolution, but we can at least see where the track is putting the storm. So here we go. We'll get the information loaded up and then advance through the day today. Thunderstorms are likely. No surprise there. Heading into tomorrow. So this is going to be 8 a.m. tomorrow. Pretty much the same timing, but you can see that center is more over Valdosta by 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, and then moving through fairly quickly. This is 5 p.m., this is 8 p.m., and the European ensemble says that this is going to be out of here pretty close to midnight. So this is going to be 11 p.m., and again, tracking more to the south and east. So either way, I want you to be weather aware in southeast Georgia for the potential of flooding, the potential of some spin-up tornadoes, especially south and east of where the actual track of the storm is going to fall, and then also looking at those strong straight-line gusty winds as well. So we're going to continue to keep you up to date. Again, expecting Idalia. It's very hard to say Idalia since we're used to saying Vidalia, but a little different pronunciation. But Idalia will strengthen through the day today and will continue to strengthen through the overnight hours tonight as it begins to make landfall tomorrow morning along the Florida Gulf Coast. That's the latest on the storm. Now your latest forecast from northwest Georgia to southeast Georgia.